Well, we almost had our first kitty sighting as we started recording, and he moved just enough out that there's no tail even on the screen. So,
So
well,
close.
so close yet so far away. I don't know where. Oh, we have one. Ding.
Mm.
That's Max. That's big boy Max. Lots of fur. Well, anyway, everyone, that's part of our game is to acknowledge and count how many cats we see in an episode. I think we've gotten up to four, maybe five. I have seven, and I'll usually make some sort of appearance at some point. I think there's only like one or two that I don't think we've ever seen on screen, but
Little camera shy.
um, huh?
Little camera shy.
Yes, a little camera shy. Oh man, he's such a good looking cat. Anyway, okay, back to what we're really here for. And that is to ride the stream where my wonderful, fabulous, very good friend of God, 10 years, I guess. I think we figured out it's around 10 years now.
Yeah.
Uh Travis, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Our we usually have a forecast that we give to our
That's true.
viewers. Um,
And this
so
is funny.
yeah, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, or around the mid 90s, possibly feels like or maybe 100. And then Thursday it'll be down in the 50s and 60s. So presently it's sweltering. I've got a couple fans going. So you're doing a little better.
I am. I'm in where it should be like just boiling with heat. I'm in Arizona, and now had a really nice cool morning, almost mid 60s, which is really nice at around 6 a.m. And we're slowly climbing, but we are still in this mid 70s, and I think we might top out at around 88. So not too bad. We've had the air conditioner on through the hot spell that we had last week, but now we haven't had to like have the air conditioner on 24/7, which is nice. Nice to the pocketbook as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, a little bit nicer here. Your weather is just crazy, dude.
it is. It's yeah, we had to turn on the AC Sunday, um, just to alleviate some of the humidity. So, because I think it was up in the upper 80s on Sunday. So,
Yeah.
but not as hot as I imagine it is on the show that we're watching.
No kidding. So, for those of you that are new, Travis and I chit chat every week about an episode of a series that we're watching. Currently, we are doing the AMC Plus streaming on Netflix, Dark Winds series from, I think it started in 2022, if I remember correctly. It's still
Mhm.
ongoing. It has been picked up for another season. I think it's going to be up to season five. Man, fabulous series. We can't speak highly enough about this show. And we're nearing the end of the first season. There's only six episodes. So today we're going to be talking about episode five. So for those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for coming every week and having a listen or watch for kitty cats and us, us boring humans, as we chit chat about the shows that we're watching. This really kind of developed out of the fact that we actually have never ever met physically.
Yeah,
Um, we've never been face to face. It's always been virtual, which is kind of funny that what a world we live in. But anyway, just from chit chat and just offline all the time about different shows that we're watching. Oh, well, what do you think about this? Would you recommend this and stuff like that? And lo and behold, here we go. We are doing this little show of ours called Ride the Stream. So anyway, with that out of the way, I think we need to get really right into episode 5. And one thing that we did notice with a couple of the episodes, and probably all of them actually, is that the episode title has something to do with the episode itself. And I can't speak Navajo. Uh, so I'm gonna probably butcher it, but the title is Hain I think. Not sure. But as much as I can ascertain, that refers to a verb, ha-ni, which functions as, quote, it is said or they say, and it's often used for conveying stories or gossip. And kind of with that in mind, I think I'll jump on into the plot synopsis if you're good with that.
Yeah.
And then we'll just kind of start discussing the different scenes. And then in the second half, we will definitely, kind of hone in and talk about what our favorite scenes of the episode has been, as well as our favorite character or characters. If we can narrow it down, maybe we can't. We sometimes have a short list. Hey, we make the rules, we can break them. So,
Absolutely.
but we hope that you follow along. There definitely are spoilers. So if you haven't watched the show and you want to watch the show, definitely go watch it and then come back and join us for our conversation. And then obviously down in the downstairs, do leave us a comment. We've actually had a comment, which was really nice and surprising. We really appreciate it. It may help the algorithm, but more than anything, it helps us to know that somebody's listening. So, and that we
Nice
sincerely
boost.
appreciate. Yeah, it is. It's a nice boost for us that are just, we're little amateur people here talking about stuff. And if it resonates with you, we definitely like to hear about that. So, anyway, here's the plot synopsis for episode 5. In this week's episode, our trio may still be upset with each other and divided. However, independently, their paths are on a crash course towards each other and the Buffalo Society's cavernous hideout in the desolate Navajo mountains. After burning bridges with Leaphorn, Chi visits Bernadette to say goodbye and encounters a cold reception due in part that Chi verbalizes that he has no reason to stay. He didn't read the room. In a huff, Bernadette tells him that she is there, but apparently that is not enough of a reason for the young man to want to stay. Additionally, she shares her clan name, but in a tone that basically shuts Chi down. Leaphorn takes custody of Frank after the prisoner is checked out of the hospital and returns him to the station. The veteran cop interrogates Frank in close quarters, I might add, about the explosion at the mine, and it is rumored or said that there is uranium that has been discovered at the mine. Leaphorn takes off to talk with the mine owner, B.J. Vines, and then to Guy at City. He also makes a stop at the So homestead before hiking up into the mountains, tracking a set of footprints. High Pockets praises Chi for a job well done. Gosh, shucks. And conveys the young man is being transferred to DC and with a 5,000 bump in salary. Woohoo! On a chance encounter, Chi helps a stranded Navajo man on the side of a road, which leads Chi to visit devoted Dan's car lot. There, Dan spills the beans and shares about the money laundering details with Chi, as well as revealing that Witover, that's High Pockets, has already talked to Dan. Armed with the operation details, Jake tries contacting Leaphorn, and when he cannot talk with the senior officer, Chi heads straight for the mountains. Bernadette has another run-in with the witch at the station when the witch casts a spell on the cop so Frank can escape. Bernadette is not one to let to back down from a challenge and goes out to confront the witch. Let's just say that Bernadette came out in a blaze of glory. Like what I did there.
Nice.
Back at the station, Bernadette gets a call from Lester, who relays that Wanda is out of her coma and talking up a storm, setting Bernadette for the mountains too, with High Pockets in tow. All
Ah,
right, Travis, first thoughts and about episode 5.
ah, this is a powerful episode. Uh, it, it's hard to say that you could say that an episode they keep getting better. Um, but there is so much to this episode. Um, and I want to discuss, you're talking about when she shows up to Bernadette's,
Yeah.
the gall of him to uh throw in her face, like, because she's like, hey, I didn't invite you here.
Mm-mm.
Okay, you're saying goodbye. Okay, see you later. Peace out, dude.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's it. And she's like, what more do you want? Like,
Mm.
and then he says it's her fault. Like, this is why you never invite anyone, never, or he phrased like, no one ever comes into your trailer because you make it so hard on them. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a awful retort to like her standoffishness, which is rightfully so.
Yeah.
And then he can't read the room when she's still standing there and he's trying to explain everything and he's like, there's nothing for me here. And she's like, I'm here.
Yeah.
And she says it like, I think 2 or 3 times. And then it suddenly registers to him and he's just like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's
Yeah.
just like, so I thought there was no way Chi was getting on my top character list this week. I was like, I ain't having it. I don't care. Like, come on, dude.
My gosh. Well,
What are you
okay.
doing?
Okay, folks, we know it's not going to be Che.
I just
Oh
I
my God.
couldn't. Being It's early.
I know.
Um, and on the flip side of things, she, in Navajo tells him F you.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she later is helping that broken down vehicle and the man's speaking to him, and we've got
Mm-hmm.
subtitles, and it's kind of alluding the way that she is responding. It's like he doesn't understand. And then he just starts speaking fluently, like he's known all
Yeah.
along. And it's like,
Came back to him
okay.
pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
That must be ding number 2 for you with him.
I mean, I guess, him blaming Bernadette for not being open or making a heart, he's not an open book either.
No.
He was playing double agent, lying about what he could and couldn't understand. Like, so it
I
was
also
very
found,
interesting in that regard.
yeah, and I was also thinking about when he does stop to help the man, um, that's as he's leaving town after he's been, working in the town for, however many days he's been there, that now he's willing to stop and help somebody because he sure didn't do it when he was coming into town. Interesting
Yeah.
that it's only on his way out of town that he feels. and I'm, I'm reading into it and making assumptions, but it's almost like now you can be magnanimous about your interest in these people is as you're leaving town and you're on your way to your cushy job in DC with your extra $5,000 in your pocket, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, how genuine are you, dude? So,
Yeah, it's hard to understand um his character. I will tell you what though, Bernadette, she is one tough SOB. Like,
mm-hmm.
um, that scene where she goes to the witch's house, um, very intense, spooky, because there are scenes where she's looking around and the witch is behind her, or the image of someone else is
Yeah.
behind her. I couldn't tell if it looked like the same person. And, she's under a spell and, she's clearly disoriented, but she's able to like struggle through that to get back her items,
Mm-hmm.
you know, dump that bookcase on her. But then her arm catches fire. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
and when she gets to the police station at the end and she's all like smoky and like her face, you can tell she's been in it and she's just like all about business. Not that she wasn't like that before, but it was like I don't want to be on the opposite end of her skull. Like her
Mm-mm.
scowl, like she was. Uh, so it was surprising when High Pockets showed up, and I was like, oh, crap! Like, where is that gonna turn? There was just a lot. With those scenes there, we've got the used carsman. We find out how he's been blackmailed, how he became the money launderer. Um, the emotional scenes too with Lee Porn, one with Guy, one with Emma. Um,
And I would say even with Bernadette,
yeah,
she's upset with him because she's like, "Why didn't you tell me that he was an FBI agent?" And Lee Porn's like, "Well, I don't need to tell you everything." And she says, "Well, I have trust issues basically." And then you partner me with somebody who I'm not able to trust because I don't know who they are. Um, and that's kind of a deflection there as well on the part of Leaphorn. I mean, yes, in his position as senior officer, yeah, he doesn't necessarily have to give away everything, and he probably, had his reasons. But then he says, "Well, I'm trying to protect you." And I do love that she did stand up for him and say, "Well, I don't need your protection. I need your respect."
yeah,
And I thought that was really powerful. And it was like, yeah, you should be, you know, even though you have personal relationships. And I mean, we see this all the time in our own world and in our own dealings with things where you have family or, you know, some sort of clan connection, whatever. And then it's a fine line. And oftentimes people, you know, uh, try to be protective or I don't want to say favoritism because I don't think Lee Parm was necessarily giving her favoritism. I'm sure she worked for everything and where she's at. But he needs to respect too, you know, and it seems like, and of course, this is early 70s, so it's a different time. Feminism, second wave of feminism is coming up and things like that. And, there is a draw on, being respectful as a person, being respectful in the job, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a pretty powerful scene. It was very short,
yeah.
uh, but very powerful.
Now, when you were watching this episode, whether most recently or for the first time, did you Were there sequences that stood out to you, or the overall tone of the episode, anything like stand out to you when after watching?
Hmm. It was, well, I'll say it was kind of hard writing my notes for the summary, because they did such a nice job at intertwining things, that trying to kind of like, pull back the layers and be a little more succinct in the plot summary without, you know, I mean, what they did tapestry wise, if we're using a tapestry and all these different threads being intertwined throughout, um, just incredible work on the part of the writer or writers with this. And I hadn't really caught the first time through when I watched it because there was so much unraveling and so much action, and all these different paths going, that I really didn't connect that where they were all leading to on my first watch through, because there was so much. I don't want to say sleight of hand, but because we're jumping around to all the different characters and things like that, I did feel like there was a lot to try to take in. Felt sensory overload
Yeah.
from characters this time rather than the environment, because it
It was
was
like they were
really,
all separated.
they're all separated, and yet somehow they're all independently coming to the same place. And I didn't catch that on the first one because of all the things that were going on and all the emotions. Still kind of reeling from the fact that they're not all working together. And, still kind of in the back of my mind, how are they going to come together, to solve this? Because they're each coming up with different pieces, but they all interconnect and they're all headed to the same place.
Yeah.
Um, I also, on this watch through, thought about the term, it is said, they say, and kind of the mysticism around it, the idea of the folklore and um, the tradition around all the different characters. And it brought me to thinking about how, and I didn't really think about it in the first one, how Bernadette really is kind of a huge cornerstone because of her attention to her job. She's very, straight-laced as far as, her appearance. She has a particular aura about her, um, that says no nonsense. But she's got this other side that's really steeped in the tradition. And then you've got Leaphorn, and thinking about how he also is very similar in that regard, but because he's been educated off the reservation, and he, went to an assimilation school, even though he's still got a lot of the Dene language and culture, um, he's been able to kind of bridge the Western with that tradition. And so I hadn't really thought about how they're kind of connecting. And then, of course, the third being Che, who, left very early. He seems to know the language, at least some of it, um, but he has really been westernized. And so it's interesting how we get that spectrum. And I didn't really think about that in my first watch through versus now, and just thinking of how they are representing different things, but yet together, like yin and yang is coming together, the opposites and things like that. And even though they have opposite belief, I don't want to say beliefs, opposite perspectives, they all interlace and they're all coming together. Even if they are emotionally apart from each other, there's still all these strong connections that are drawing them together, as well
Yeah.
as the plot and the narrative and things like that. Um, I just also on this viewing, really it reiterated how badass Bernadette is. And for her to have shown how scared she's been with with regards to the witch, how that stoked a lot of fear in her. And the fact that it's after she tells Leaphorn that she wants his respect, that she kind of rises to the occasion and like, no, that witch is not going to best me.
Yeah.
Um, and she takes matters into her own hands and she goes out there. She's not like asking Leaphorn to go do it or anything like that. That she knows for her own personal path as well as her professional one, she needs to deal with it. And she does it brilliantly. So,
Yeah. The the volume of this episode is loud in retrospect to like kind of how you said there's a lot of sensory things going on. Um, and I think a lot of that is with the different emotions that are going on. Like we've
hmm
got some very sad sequences. The fear that Bernadette is feeling is palpable.
hmm
The scene where she's in a trance and during the kind of the escape scene, like that is so creepy.
it really
Um,
is.
she's kind of like dizzy, disoriented, and you see footsteps. It's a little montage of back and forth between her and footsteps. And she's hearing uh is it Frank? Is
Yeah,
Scarface.
it's like he's speaking or he's talking in his sleep. It's very dreamlike.
Yeah, because it's
And
like
there's the
she can
buzzing.
hear, yeah, she can hear him
hmm
speaking, but when the camera pans to him, because his back is to her,
Yeah.
it looks like he's asleep. And so it's just really, like you said, the writers have done a great job. The producers who put the episodes together, like you said, all of those interwoven things are put together seamlessly.
hmm
And I am just, you know, I don't know. This is like one of those shows where it like instantly becomes one of my favorite shows.
hmm
Um, like if I were to just watch this season, and because I'm assuming episode 6 is not going to disappoint me. Um, like if I were just to watch this season, and this is only after 5 out of 6 episodes, say this is one of my all-time favorite. Like it's done so well. I love, like you were talking about, the history and the culture that we're getting with this. The aspect of black magic is, I think this is the first time those words were uttered on the show. Like we heard witch,
think so. hmm
and um, and that's when Bernadette talks to High Pockets and talks about how this whole elaborate plan was being covered up by black magic, and he just kind of, you can tell he's like, oh, dismissive and all that.
hmm
Um, but it's so interesting. It makes it feel real.
hmm
Like all of these elements, the way Bernadette responds, the confidence the witch has.
hmm
Like she is so confident that there's nothing that Bernadette can do. And there's just a little bit of like not just edginess, but it's like you can feel Bernadette's fear.
hmm
Um, and like I wouldn't want to be in her position in that house. She finds hair clippings. At that point, I think when she wakes up from the trance after the prisoner
hmm
escapes, she's got one of her strip of her hair is white now from, I guess,
Just like Anna.
yeah. And that freaked me out because I was like, oh my God.
Uh-uh.
What? And then after the tussle and fire with the witch, I assume that the witch dies. And then when Bernadette goes and calls her back up in her car and she looks in the mirror and that white hair is gone.
hmm
So it's almost like the spell ended with the witch dying. That's how I
Yeah,
took it.
that's what I'm making assuming as well, is that because she's dead, and I think more importantly the fact that all the hair that she had, because she I'm gonna figure that she had to actually have personal possession of hair of the people, that's how she did her magic, that without that, the spells that she cast have been broken as a result. I mean, I don't know if she's dead, but I think that um, her various elements that she needed in order to cast those spells, the hair specifically, that has removed her attachment to these various spells that she's cast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so well done.
Well, and
And
I think that's high praise, because I know that you watch a lot of different shows, for your pop culture writing, you watch movies and things like that as well. So, I mean, that's high praise indeed that, we're not even through the first season and you're feeling this is like one of your all-time favorites.
yeah, I just I I think for me, it's sometimes difficult to find connections with characters.
Hmm.
Um, and with this show, it just feels so immersive. You feel like you're out there in the rugged landscapes with these characters, and the performances are so overwhelmingly just fantastic. It's just that
Hmm.
I feel like there's just this real rooting interest for them and wanting to see them, particularly, Lee Porn and Bernadette, and Emma, because, in this episode, we get a little more insight into what it's been like since Joe Jr. died. And
Yeah,
that emotional conversation, and, Emma's says she relives that last conversation with Joe Jr., which we find out was the last conversation she had, was arguing about college and her saying why Joe didn't tell
yeah,
him to go because he would have listened to her, and he breaks down because he's just like, I didn't want him to go to college.
yeah,
Like I wanted my boy to stay. And so they probably both have this guilt that it's their fault.
yeah.
Um,
That was a
and
little
it's just
surprising to me. Um, Sorry to break in there for just a
no,
moment, because I know that I thought Lee Porn would tell him, oh yeah, you should go to college or go to college in a year or something like that, because he'd gone to college. And even an earlier statement, I think with Chi, where he says, oh yeah, any Native American would jump at the opportunity to go to college. And I just thought that honestly, that's how I read how that conversation went at the dinner table, is that, he was picking his time when he would let him know, hey, you really should, your mom wants you to go to school. This is really what you should do. Or, we would like you to do. Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, I think I was when I saw that initial dinner table scene, the flashback, I was thinking that Joe was just trying to like not be the heavy-handed father like his own dad was.
Yeah.
And I thought, he was just being quiet because he didn't want to. I thought maybe he wanted to let his son pick the way he didn't get to.
No, that's
Um,
true. Yeah.
um, but the revelation that he just wanted him to stay is so heartfelt. Like, and in the same way that Emma wanted him to go to college, like you just feel that their intentions are just as good for their kid. I mean, um, he- Lee Porn, yes, wanted his son to stay, but he also just didn't want to be overbearing and make it his decision. He wanted, I think, Joe Jr. to have that, you
Yeah.
know, responsibility to make his own choices. So I love this episode. Yeah, it was great.
Well, on that note, I think we'll take a short break and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the scenes and who our favorite character, which we already know Travis says it's not going to be Che.
No chance.
So, so we'll see who it might be, and so stick with us. We'll have a little commercial break, and yeah, back in a minute. Maybe we'll have cat number 5 here in the second half. So stick with us.
Hey everyone, just a quick break to say thank you for watching. If you'd like to support Michelle or I, we have links to our works, social media in the description below. Um, Ride the Stream is our kind of fun gig where we get to take a break and do what we're going to do anyway and just record it. And if you can spare some time to follow us on social media, where you can find our other creative works, that'd be great. And that's it. We'll get back to the conversation.
Well, welcome back after that commercial break. I'm sure Travis had an interesting little break in there for all of us to have a listen and watch. We are discussing episode 5 of Dark Winds in case you somehow missed the first half and you're here in the second half. But, never know. So anyway, we are back, and I just kind of want to get into whether, Travis, there were any other scenes that you thought kind of were interesting, interesting scenes, conveyed anything of interest to you or surprises to you that you thought were, oh, wow, okay, didn't see that coming. Because I think
Um,
I had a couple of those.
um, I thought the end sequence was interesting where Joe is following the trail and it's at night and Frank is at a fire, so he's up on a ridge behind a rock. And it looks like Frank is like sprinkling something into the fire.
Hmm.
And then you see Leaphorn kind of turn around on his back. And it's like, is he falling? Is he asleep? Is he still awake? And then I was like, is he falling into a trance like Bernadette?
Hmm.
So I was like concerned, like maybe that was something. And so it was that was one scene in particular. I was just like, it made me definitely interested in, okay, well, how is this going to play out?
Yeah, that was an interesting shot because it's overhead, it's nighttime. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's an interesting shot to end on. Just seeing, okay, like, yeah, I hadn't thought about, well, is he gonna fall asleep? Is he in some sort of trance? I was actually, when I saw it, I kind of thought, ooh, I wonder what's gonna be his next play? Because he can't like go bum rush in there because there's the campfire there, and where he's at, it kind of faces towards Frank. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is kind of a sticky situation. And he's by himself. How's he going to do that? And, Father So is also there. Well, probably in the cave, but, he's around as well. And we don't know if there's any other people, that might be lurking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one that stands out. I'll try to think of any others that aren't on my list, but was there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, when Leaphorn goes home to talk to Emma to get her to take Sally and go somewhere play safe because he believes that Frank's going to be coming for Sally as the mother of his child, only to find out, ironically, and I love the statement that Emma says, is that the father is the father. How ironic is that? So we actually find out that Sally, the father so, is the father of her child. And when I heard that, I just felt even more creeped out by the character Father So. Just
Yeah.
the deprivation that he goes to, he has no soul, or he sold it to the devil, basically. Um, and of course, Lee Punn's like, well, wait, why did she say, Frank? And, come to find out, Sally was really embarrassed by the fact that it was her mother's boyfriend that probably raped her. Sorry for the R word, but, he probably forced her, um, when the witch wasn't home, which seems like, wow, you're really playing with fire if you're going behind your girlfriend, with the daughter.
Yeah.
So who knows what kind of relationship was going on there. I can't honestly believe that there was a consensual nature to that coupling. Um, so, did the mom know? And what was that all about? You know, so
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot left unanswered, and left to our imagination to try to figure out, well, what was that whole dynamic and relationship all about? Um, so that really creeped me out, because I felt like, I don't know, there's almost some sort of redemptive quality about Frank, because I think he does care about his people. I don't think he knew about grandfather So, and he may not have known about Anna. About,
Yeah.
he probably, I don't know how he couldn't have heard about it, but he might not have known that the witch and Father So were involved. Um, because why would he tie those together? Except that something was going on. Somebody knew something.
Yeah.
Um, so that that other scene towards the end when Frank is asking, um, Father So about his involvement in those double homicides. It just was kind of like, wow, that Father So is just really evil, very evil. And I don't think we've heard exactly everything that he's done. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot more, um, to what he's done, all in supposedly the name of his people. And I'm like, more, I think, all to your greed and your desire to hurt others, um, which I think is the more motivating factors than the guise of you're doing it for your people. So,
Yeah.
so I thought there's a lot to unpack, with that. So I thought that was interesting revelations, in those, and they were um, pretty quick little scenes amongst other very tension and, emotional scenes that were going on.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, I know that I think the that and then, I think we didn't talk too much about it, but I did mention it in my plot synopsis. This was the other one that I thought was the fact that, Che finds out that High Pockets had talked to Dan, and yet there's no record of it. There's no file. And yet when Che talks to Low Pockets, I don't remember what that agent's name is. Um, but then that's how he finds out about Father So, and the Buffalo Society, and just connecting more of the tissue of what's going on with how the bank heist, the and the murders kind of are starting to all fit together. Um, yeah, so that makes me wonder, well, how involved is High Pockets in all of this? So when he shows up, at the end, and he's going to help Bernadette, and he's in the car and stuff, I'm like, oh man, that is a viper sitting next to her in that
Yep.
car.
Yeah.
Because I'm like thinking, okay, he's involved somehow. He knows something. He knows more than what he's told anybody. And that has me worried. So,
Yeah. The scene with Low Pockets was interesting because it's a very big character twist. Because when we saw him in episode one or whatever it was, he was very abrasive and cocky. And in
hmm
this episode, he's just very, you know, humble and congratulatory towards Chi with his new position, and even kind of like not offended by High Pockets asking him to get rid of the file, but knew well enough not to destroy it when he was asked to. So I was intrigued by that little turn with that character. And then I did enjoy seeing Lee Porn stick it to High Pockets when he asked for the warrant and give him his reasonings, basically saying, "Hey, you had a sleeper cell in here. I'm not going to make this easy for you. And by the way, you're just talking to my wife so
yeah,
poorly." And then Pie Pockets is oblivious, like, "Oh, maybe you can talk to her and straighten this out." It's like, even if she was talking to me, I'm not going to.
yeah.
So I like that too. So there were a lot of good scenes, but I tried to narrow my top. I think I had maybe four listed as my
Okay.
so.
Well, should we just kind of start going over favorites then? So,
Sure. Do you want to
so
start
do you have an
or
absolute favorite, or do you kind of have a short list of, hey, these are my top picks?
so I have four top ones. I think I have a favorite. It's tough, but I do think I have a favorite. Um
Okay.
so I can list an honorable mention. Um
Sure. We'll go back and forth if you want to start, because I think I kind of have three, maybe four.
and even the ones we just mentioned, I think could be honorable mentions because they're really interesting. I think the Bernadette in a trance at the police station uh
Mm-hmm.
is so fascinating. The way it's filmed, it's creepy. You can tell she's disoriented. Um, when she wakes up from it, like tear comes down from her eye. Because she like fell in a trance, it's like with her eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just and you see in the background the witch and kind of like perusing, and you see Frank stand up, and you see him walk out, and I thought that was highly effective towards the narrative with this idea of black magic, and
Mm-hmm.
um, so I really like that one.
Yeah, I was thinking about one that we always kind of had a buzzing sound whenever her she had black magic that was in play. Similar to like when we were watching Falling Skies and anytime the mechs came through, you'd get that kind of ominous male chant kind of odd ambient music that you would get whenever the mechs were on screen. You'd hear that every time. That was your cue that, uh-oh, we've got mechs coming.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel the buzzing sound with the witch and her spells uh, gave rise to that, it's kind of otherworldly, it's terrifying. Um, and with Bernadette kind of going into that trance, it made me think of the drug that um, basically causes you to be like you can't move at all, but you're still conscious and kind of aware, and how scary that must be. So I thought of how scared she must have been in that moment, um,
yeah,
and the fear that she must have had because they could have done anything to her, and there's nothing that she would have been able to do. So yeah, that's a very good scene. Um, Gosh, I'm gonna say I think I've got like three or four here. I'm gonna say um An honorable mention is probably when Leaphorn goes home to talk to Emma and you know, doesn't have all the facts. It's where his investigative leanings didn't pan out, and I think it's kind of kind of a slight subtle nod to the fact that when his deputy, his unofficial deputy, and him are actually working together well, things are translated and communicated. But in this case, she didn't tell him that Sally told her who the real dad is. And he didn't find out until after he's like freaking out, thinking that Frank's going to come to the house.
Yeah.
So I thought that that was a good scene, one for why I was saying earlier what that was indicating, for Sally and just that whole relationship with the witch and things like that. But I thought it was kind of an interesting continual play about her being an unofficial deputy, and their ability to communicate and work together, and how, things continue to be kind of broken down. Even though, they're concerned about each other and he's concerned about her, there's also, you know, she doesn't want him to go. And he's like, I have to go. He's got to do his job. It's to serve and protect others, um, not just her, and how hard that had to have been. So I give that as an honorable mention.
Yeah, that one's on there for me too as an honorable mention. The it's specifically the conversation between them about Joe and that day and her her perception of his absence, his perception of how she reacted, um, and just like all of that pent up sadness, like coming, like, and you can see it, like Leaphorn's trying to still contain it,
Yeah.
and it's heartbreaking, um, and um, I I can only imagine like how actresses can get into those frame of mind to portray such intense and emotional scenes because it's so believable. They're so good in these roles. Oh yeah, that definitely on my list for honorable mention for sure.
hmm hmm let's see. So that would be what, two? Or
Yeah,
did
that'd
we
be
have?
my second one. Yep.
Okay. One that I also had was when Lee Porn went back to talk with Guy about what happened that day. He's getting the information. He's gotten the information from Vines, the owner of the mine, finding out that there was a geologist out there, um, and he was doing research and stuff and did find uranium, did tell everybody to stay away from that area and things like that. So, again, kind of harking back to the name of or the title of the episode about, they saying, or it's been said, it's been rumored, that type of thing, and how there's truth, to the rumor. And then that leads to Guy apologizing and being repentant for not knowing what Leaphorn was going through, what he and Emma were really going through when they lost Joe Jr. But that now he knows, from having lost Anna. And it's a intimate scene. It's a hard scene. It's one that I know I hate to say glad to see, but at the same time, I'm glad to see that they're mending, you know, uh, that fence between them so that they
Yeah.
can get back to what they probably were before. So, um, and Lee Porn is, like, no, you don't have to say it, and yet Guy pushes through to say what he wants to say. And that was a great scene. I really liked that. And so I felt like that was another one of those very emotional, very intense, not very long, but it conveys a lot about the relationships between different people and how trauma can really change the dynamics of relationships.
Yeah.
And how unfortunately losing a child helped Guy to have a better understanding of what Lee Porn and Emma were going through, especially since they couldn't have more kids thanks to the
Yeah.
government, that doctor, making decisions on a woman's behalf. You know? Hmm. Sound
Hmm.
familiar? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
How the problem hasn't gone away.
yeah. So I thought that was the scene between Guy and Lee Porn. I thought was a very good one as well. So that is an honorable mention for me.
Um, my third and final honorable mention is Bernadette fighting the witch. Um, I mean, I know we've touched on it. It's scary. Her going through the house with the flashlight and gun, you know, flashes of the witch or someone behind her at different times. Um, and then when the witch jumps out at her and attacks her, and um, it really makes it feel like uncertain of who's going to get the upper hand.
Hmm.
Um, and just the scenes of her finding her own hair, um, her hair turning white, similar to Anna's. There's like it just emphasizes truth to the witchery of it all, like and it's done in a way like you described, like some drugs that can act as like this paralysis acting agent, and
Hmm.
who knows how many other different things in nature cause these things. And um so it just the sequences, the way they're done makes it seem believable, and I think that's why it's so scary. um and again, Bernadette is tough as hell. Like her arm was on fire.
Hmm.
And when she goes outside and dumps it into a pail of water, and she's like kind of screams in agony just from like putting it in the water, and I'm assuming her skin is like burned to hell. I mean, she's someone you want on your side.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
despite the fear, she still went through to take on the witch, apprehend her, whatever. Very intense, um, just very palpable
Hmm.
sequence.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I thinking back to that scene, I'm thinking about the fact that when her arm does light up, I'm trying to remember, and I don't think that the camera ever left kind of the tight shot of her with her arm burning. So I'm like, did she actually do her own stunt? Did the actress
Mm,
actually do her own stunt there? I don't remember, and I'm gonna have to go back and relook. But I mean, if she did her own stunt, man, talk about a badass,
yeah.
because to have that fire, and so close, because I know she had her arm kind of up, and I'm like, that's really close to your face, unless it's CGI, and it was just really fantastic CGI. I just don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look. my last runner up honorable mention is her conversation, Bernadette and Chabe, when he arrives at her trailer. And
Yes.
we've obviously talked about this one, but I there's so much that's being communicated and yet not really clearly just openly spoken. A lot of it is with tone of voice, body language, um, and just, being a fly on the wall. And, at first, Bernadette saying, well, I'm here, and us kind of like, Che kind of like, huh, what? Oh, oh, he didn't get it. It took me a minute to get it, type of thing. That we as the audience of like, oh, she was much more, you think oh, it's kind of flirty, but there was something, it meant a lot to her.
And I
You know,
thought it was mutual too.
yeah, and I did too. And the fact that when she says in a huff, who her clan is. Like, all right, Mother F, here's what my clan is, and that's the last we're going to be talking.
Yeah.
Like, and I
It
don't
felt
know.
like that.
It did. It felt like, well, this is my clan. Boom, and done. And don't even bother, don't let the door hit you on the ass as you're walking out, type of thing. Like, yeah, it all through we're being told that, to find out about the clan, how important that is, what that means, and then for her to say it in the way that she said it to him, uh, it was just so powerful. That yeah, that's my runner up. So
I forgot about that one. I know we
oh
talked
my
about it, but
goodness.
we talked about it and I forgot that I didn't put it on my list. And yeah,
It's
I
hard.
mean,
It is
so
honestly hard.
good.
Because for all of you that are watching and listening, it's hard. There are so many great scenes.
Yeah.
Um, I know that, we've got a series coming out soon where we had a similar situation of just there's so many good scenes. When we talked about a particular movie that we watched. And yeah, so that'll be dropping later in a few weeks. But yeah, I totally get that it's hard. And sometimes you forget about a scene and then it's like, oh, yes, yes. That yeah, that's a great scene. So
Yeah.
totally get it. Yeah. So that means what is your favorite scene?
It's one of your runner-ups. It's Guy and Joe's conversation. Um, when that conversation starts, Guy kind of thinks he's Joe's there about the Colts and he'll get his Colts back when I get my $50. And
Mm-hmm.
Joe's like, no, I'm here to talk about Joe Jr. And Guy's like, well, last time we talked about Joe Jr., you shot me. And Joe is very earnest and said that he was wrong in doing that and he was sorry. Um, and he tries to ask about what happened the day of the explosion. And Guy's like, I already told you everything. And Joe says, I want to know the truth about Joe's death just as much as you want to know about Anna's death. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of connects the dots for Guy and the the way he opens up to Joe. It's like once he starts, it's like it's the way he's wanted to talk to Joe this entire time, but he just didn't know how to. And like you said, Leaphorn's trying to like say, "Hey, you don't have to say anything," and the guy's just like, "No, let me get this out."
Yeah.
Like, um, and the way he just describes it is like when he admitted to saying a lot of bad things about Joe,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't understand the pain he was going through. And he says that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And he said now that he's lost Anna and knows the pain that he's going through and what he has said to Lee Porn in the past, he says he can never forgive himself for
Yeah.
treating Lee Porn that way. And I find that so haunting because I think sometimes there is no coming back when you say certain things. And I think that's a reality. And I think you can feel, you know, his pain and saying that aloud. And, he is emotional about it. And I feel like Joe is trying to restrain his own emotions. And I think a very eloquent kind of that's not necessarily reuniting their friendship, but kind of mending fences.
Yeah.
Um, Exceptional scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. My favorite scene is one that we've already talked about as well. And that's when Bernadette visits the witch house. So, and how all that transpires. And we've talked about that one. Just a lot of the visuals. I really feel like, the episode kind of turns into some folk horror elements in there. Just so fantastically done. The shooting, the light, the action between the actors, um, the terror that is evoked through that entire scene.
Yeah.
And they take their time with it too. I mean, this is not a short, quick action scene. I mean, there's time spent with it. They really wanted to get it right. And I think they really did. So that that is my favorite scene. Now we'll get into favorite characters as we start to wrap up our conversation about episode 5. I know who it's not. So, um, so did you have a short list? Did one just like rise to the top for you? How did it
I
work
know
this
I
week
know who
for
my
you?
favorite is.
Mm-hmm.
And I had three honorable mentions. So, um, I'll just say right now, if you don't mind, my favorite character
Mm-hmm.
is badass Bernadette.
Right there with
Like
you. Totally.
she knocked it out of the park. And I tell you what, any of my other honorable mentions would have been my top any any other episode, and it could have easily been in this episode too. Very
Yeah.
strong performances, but I think this kind of just highlights her inner strength, her physical strength, her toughness,
Yeah.
um, and I continue to root for her. Big fan.
Yep, same here. I don't even have anyone else on my list. I mean, yes, there could be others. Definitely Lee Porn. I really loved Emma. But honestly, Bernadette just blew it out of the park for me in this episode. For you, your honorable mentions?
Lee Porn, Emma, and I added Guy even for that one
Oh,
scene.
good. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
thought I forgot to write down the actor's name, but
Hmm.
phenomenal scene. Um, Truly felt genuine and um, but Bernadette, winner for sure.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Almost went there too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, we're a good co-host. We can kind of know. But is there anything that we didn't cover with episode 5 as we start to look towards the finale, episode 6?
Um, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we did a good job discussing a lot of the episode. Yeah, I think that's good.
All right. Well, it sounds like we've got a wrap on today. Because I don't have any others. So, like mentioned, as we started our conversation today, feel free to leave a comment. Travis is newer to this series than I am. I mean, I have watched Beyond a little bit, but so I kind of know what happens in in episode 6, but hopefully I haven't given anything away. And hope that you don't either if you've also been watching the series and is further along than season 1. If you want to definitely engage with us, just let us know. It's a spoiler and, hit a few returns so it kind of hides it. But love to hear your thoughts on your favorite scene from the episode as well as your favorite actor. Maybe you're a BJ Vines or Father So fan. We got to hear from the villains do well too. So,
They're portrayed very well.
yes. But anyway, that's it for us. We hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us. Definitely hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment. Do all the usual YouTube type things so that way our stats look great. But thanks so much, and we will be back next week for the finale episode 6. So definitely take a watch and come join us next week. But until then, we're going to be riding the stream, and maybe you will be too.